Welcome to Science Force, where science comes alive.
Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here. Now, I want you to just think for a moment about your morning routine, right? Maybe you or someone you know likes to add a scoop of this bright green powder to a morning smoothie. That powder is very likely spirulina. We know it as this famous health supplement, packed with proteins, vitamins, and antioxidants. But today, I'm going to challenge you to completely rethink this favorite smoothie ingredient. Because, as it turns out, this microscopic, spiral-shaped blue-green cyanobacteria is actually doing a whole lot more than just boosting our immune systems. Okay, let's dive right into this. How exactly does a popular health food supplement double as a really powerful toxic waste cleaner? It's a fascinating question, isn't it? Today, we're going to bridge that gap between everyday nutrition and highly advanced environmental biotechnology. Whether you're a curious everyday learner or a dedicated life sciences student, I promise you're going to find this absolutely remarkable. Let's quickly look at our roadmap for today. More than a superfood. The unexpected power of blue-green algae. You know, for years, we've cultivated spirulina in alkaline lakes and ponds simply because it grows so quickly in sunlight and gives us those essential amino acids. But scientists noticed something completely extraordinary about how it interacts with its environment. And this brings us to a very crucial concept: bioremediation. Simply put, this is the use of living organisms, like bacteria, fungi, plants, and in our case, algae, to naturally remove, neutralize, or degrade harmful pollutants. The whole goal here is to restore a polluted environment safely, without having to dump even more toxic chemicals into the mix just to clean up the first mess. And spirulina has truly emerged as a superstar in this exact field. 2. The science of biosorption. How spirulina acts as a microscopic sponge. Now, for our life science students tuning in, let's zoom in a bit. We're going to look at how this happens across a 4-step process called passive biosorption. Contact. The contaminated water simply meets the spirulina biomass. Attraction. Those harmful metal ions are physically drawn right to the cell wall. Binding. These pollutants attach themselves firmly to the surface. Removal. The metal-soaked spirulina biomass is collected, leaving behind clean, purified water. It is literally that elegant in its simplicity. The exact chemistry making this happen is just brilliant. Right on the cell wall of spirulina, you have these very specific chemical groups. We're talking about carboxyl, amino, hydroxyl, and sulfate groups. Just think of these chemical groups like tiny, highly specific magnets. They naturally attract and bind harmful substances straight out of the water, pulling them in just like iron filings to a magnet. 3. Heavy metals and health. Neutralizing severe clinical threats. For the medical professionals here who see the clinical outcomes of environmental pollution firsthand, you know the stakes are incredibly high. Industries like mining, battery manufacturing, and leather tanning release highly dangerous heavy metals right into our water. Lead can cause severe brain damage and blood disorders. Cadmium, toxicity leading to bone weakness and severe kidney damage. Chromium, linked to DNA damage and respiratory disease. Mercury, often from e-waste, causes devastating nervous system damage. Copper, excess copper causes severe organ toxicity. These metals do not break down naturally, they just accumulate. But spirulina has this unbelievable ability to target and absorb these specific dangerous ions straight out of the water. It brilliantly illustrates the true value of bioremediation. Spirulina is basically neutralizing the danger by securely storing these toxic metals within its own biomass. It acts like a biological vault, effectively taking these heavy metals out of the ecosystem so they can no longer accumulate in our drinking water or our food chain. 2. Purifying wastewater, tackling agricultural, industrial, and municipal runoff. Wastewater generally falls into 3 massive categories, and spirulina actually tackles all 3 of them. Industrial wastewater, loaded with toxic metals and synthetic dyes. agricultural runoff, packed with excess nitrogen and phosphate fertilizers, municipal wastewater, flowing straight from our cities, filled with organic matter and excess nutrients. Spirulina is uniquely equipped to handle the distinct pollutants found in every single one of these domains. Let's look a bit closer at agricultural runoff. This causes a devastating environmental disaster known as eutrophication. When way too many fertilizer nutrients like nitrates and phosphates enter a lake, they stimulate this massive, unnatural growth of harmful aquatic plants. This completely depletes the oxygen in the water, causing mass fish deaths and essentially total ecosystem collapse. But spirulina acts as a perfect remedy here. By introducing it in a controlled manner, it absorbs those excess nitrates, nitrites, and phosphates to fuel its own growth. So it's basically starving the harmful blooms and restoring the water's oxygen balance. It is not just invisible chemicals either. Textile industries release vast amounts of synthetic colors, things like methylene blue, Congo red, and crystal violet. These dyes block sunlight from penetrating rivers, which completely stops natural aquatic photosynthesis and destroys underwater ecosystems. Spirulina physically adsorbs these dye molecules right onto its cell surface. It is literally pulling the color out of the water. 5. Combating climate change, photosynthesis, and carbon sequestration. Let's transition from the water beneath our feet to the air we breathe. Spirulina is a photosynthetic organism. It takes basic solar power, sunlight, and combines it with water and atmospheric carbon dioxide. And what's the result? It generates its own useful biomass and releases fresh, clean oxygen right back into the air. By aggressively consuming carbon dioxide, spirulina is actively contributing to carbon sequestration. It's directly helping to mitigate the greenhouse gas effect that drives climate change. When we step back and look at the whole picture, the operational advantages are absolutely staggering. It's highly cost-effective and renewable because it rapidly multiplies on its own. It's a completely environmentally friendly process, requiring zero harsh chemicals. It has a massive capacity for removing all sorts of pollutants. The entire operation is naturally solar-powered, a self-replicating, sun-powered water and air filter. 6. The future of bioremediation, challenges and next-generation biotech. While I'm incredibly enthusiastic about all of this, we do need to maintain our scientific objectivity. This technology isn't magic, it's biology. And while biology has rules, there are definitely practical realities and limitations we have to face today. Spirulina requires very specific environmental conditions to thrive: the right sunlight, temperature, and pH levels. Furthermore, once that biomass has soaked up all those highly toxic heavy metals, that biomass itself is now toxic and has to be very, very carefully disposed of. Also, scaling this up to an industrial, city-wide level requires some massive financial investment and careful engineering management. But honestly, this is exactly where the future lies. Scientists across the globe are actively engineering new genetic strains of spirulina to be hardier and even hungrier for pollutants. They're designing advanced carbon capture systems for factories and even utilizing nanotechnology to drastically increase the efficiency of the cell walls. They're making those tiny chemical magnets even stronger. Conclusion. To summarize our journey today, the source material leaves us with this incredibly powerful thought. Spirulina acts like a natural biological filter that absorbs harmful substances from the environment while simultaneously producing oxygen and useful biomass. It really is a true ally in our fight against global pollution. And that leaves us with one final profound thought to ponder. If a simple microscopic algae, literally the exact same one you might put in your morning smoothie, can be harnessed to clean up our most toxic industrial waste and capture greenhouse gases, what other powerful natural biological filters are just out there in the world, quietly waiting to be discovered?
Thank you for watching Science Force.